Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. I'm Joanne Taranto.
And I'm Tom Matthews. And today we're going to talk about buyer onboarding and what it looks like to become a buyer client for the Tom and Joanne team. So Joanne, you want to kick us off today?
Yeah, so we finished up a sellers series talking about onboarding sellers, and onboarding buyers is a different process. And so what we like to do is be thorough from the very beginning, right?
Yes, exactly.
So the most important thing that you can do for us is to watch our buyer consultation video. It goes through soup to nut from step one to finish of how to buy a house and all of the pieces that are involved in the process. Now, we don't expect you to memorize them, but when the time comes for you to make an offer, we want you to be familiar with the process. And we also want you to work on two different lists.
Right.
What are those lists?
So the list of the wants needs list, but I just want to kind of go back to that buyer consultation because it's a list, it's a consultation that Joanne and I used to do every single time we met with buyers. And we perfected it because over the years, we would just implement all the questions that people had, right?
Mm-hmm.
People would ask us like, when do I need my deposit? When's the purchase and sale? When's the home inspection? So Joanne and I codified everything. So every question you have about buying a house is in that video. When do I have to get homeowners insurance? What is this money? What's that money? And timeline. And so it's a really comprehensive video, and we're really thrilled to be able to share it with buyers. But now, turning to the wants needs list, when you get to the end of that consultation, you're going to see a page that says, what do you really want for a house and what do you really need for a house? Because here in Massachusetts, each town basically has their own school district. So each town has its own different kind of value proposition, which is different from other parts of the country because buyers who come up here from South Carolina say we have big counties. In the whole county, the price points are basically the same. Mm-hmm. So here in Massachusetts, it's a little bit different. And so what we do is we have you put together a wants needs list of your kind of ideal or dream property, because it will help us to then be able to identify with your budget which towns will best meet your wants needs list. Mm-hmm. It helps us to kind of drive where can you make compromises, because even someone buying a $5 million house will compromise on something.
Absolutely.
And let's say you have a more kind of normalized budget. Average sales price in Massachusetts is $760 in 2023. So if you have a budget more in that range, we want to kind of help to identify so that your expectations are met. So Joanne, what kind of things you see on a needs list and a want list?
So your needs would be, I need 3 bedrooms. I need 4 bedrooms, depending on how many people are going to be living in the house. Another need could be a certain location. So within 30 minutes ride, 45 minutes ride to my office. It could be a physical need for the house. It could be, I need a first floor master bedroom. I need a handicap accessible bathroom. All of these things are examples of needs, things that you need to see in the property. Now, can we be flexible on those things? Absolutely. So if you need to have a first floor bedroom and there's a first floor office, we might be able to make some adjustments for that, and that may work for your next home. It may not.
Right.
And so what we like to do is figure out what your needs are. If you don't drive and you need to be, within walking distance of or biking distance of the MBTA, we want to keep that in mind for locations that will work for you. Now, the second list is the wants. This is the fun part.
Yeah.
What do we usually see on those lists?
I want a fireplace. I want hardwood floors throughout. I want central air. I want a big backyard. I mean, these are sometimes aspirational based on budget and location, and sometimes very attainable. And, we really want people to get on paper. And we found this process to be important years ago when working with partners who hadn't talked about what they actually wanted and needed in a house. And so by verbalizing it and putting it on paper right from the get-go, it helps everyone to get on the same page.
Yeah. Getting on the same page is a really important piece to the process in your home search. And what we want to help you do is to have those conversations to try and figure out what's most important to you. Because when you start writing these things down with your partner, you may find that you have different priorities
Yeah.
in the next property. And this is a
Exactly.
great opportunity for you to sit down and kind of get on the same page.
100%.
Now, do we hold people to these wants and needs lists?
We don't, but it is funny that I pulled those out back in the day when we used to have paper. I'd pull those out the closing table and hand them to buyers and say, hey, look at this was your needs wants list. This house pretty closely mirrors that.
Uh-huh.
And so it was pretty incredible to see that and following the process. Because having a system and a process, buyers so oftentimes don't realize that you make money in real estate when you buy, but you realize the money when you sell. So you really have to buy right. And that's
Mhm.
where this whole process was kind of born out of. Doing the video, doing this list, and then talk about the consultation. Then we meet with them typically on Zoom for an hour. And so what's that look like, Joanne?
The Zoom meeting is, we can set aside 30 minutes, 60 minutes, depending on how many questions you have as follow-ups from the buyer consults. And we will cover that in part 2.
So if you like these videos, please subscribe, and thank you for watching another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. I'm Tom Matthews.
And I'm Joanne Taranto. Cheers.